Puma has finally made a new colorway of the King Platinum, and I'd love to compare it to the original black pair, but unfortunately my pair died in the flood. The poo flood. Because football boots have changed so much over the last 20 years, you have two generations of people still playing the game that I think have very different taste in football boots. Players that are 25 and up want the boots that they wore during their childhood, something a little bit more simple, typically something with a leather upper, where the younger generation, which is the vast majority of consumers buying football boots, at least the market that big brands are after, are interested in something that is more technology focused, something with a knitted upper, mid-cut. New concepts is kind of what they're into, which is why the vast majority of boots fall into that particular category. However, Puma is making something for that older generation. I think something that would appeal to the younger generation as well if you're looking to try something a little bit different. And of course, the boot I'm talking about is the Puma King Platinum that I have here in the gorgeous second colorway for this boot, blue and white, which I believe is actually supposed to match the Manchester City colors. Unlike most modern football boots that I think can be described as extremely complex, the King Platinum is a great example of something that is simple, clean, and somewhat minimalist by today's standards that's still just as good as pretty much anything out there. And I want to talk about why that is in today's video. I really feel like this is one of the most underrated boots on the market, and considering that it retails for $200, which isn't necessarily cheap, but is less expensive than some of the more popular top-end models out there, I really think this is one of those boots you might want to have on your radar, especially if you're a fan of kangaroo leather. Either way, we're going to go over all the details in today's video, including how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review. And if you're interested in a pair for yourself in the blue and white or the launch blackout colorway, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. So included with the boots is, of course, a box that does feature a Return of the King sticker there on the lid. Open it up, and they do include a couple different extras, the first of which is another Return of the King sticker that you can stick somewhere. They also include this, which I really like. You can see it says Return of the King with a picture of the boots, and then on the back side it kind of has this concept sketch laying out all of the tech specs for the boots. This is something that they used to do a lot more during my childhood with top-end models from Nike and Adidas. I wish we saw this more. I really like this, and something that you really don't get with any other Puma product aside from the King Platinum is a string bag that's actually really nice. It's a black mesh material, so similar to the Adidas ones, but about twice as thick. It also does have an internal zipper pocket like the Nike ones have, obviously black on black with the black strings, and of course a Puma logo in white on the front. Nothing on the back. The fact that they include it though is really nice. It gets a string bag rating of King out of Emperor. Is a King better than an Emperor? Now, unlike most modern football boots where there is a long list of tech specs to go over, for the King Platinum, there's really three key elements to this particular boot. A kangaroo leather upper, an internal support cage that is very minimal and kind of just spans the toe box area, and of course a knitted material that fills in the central portion of the upper, giving you this one-piece enclosure. And of course that does incorporate a dual lace hole system as well, which I would say is the most modern aspect of this particular boot. The kangaroo leather though is what's important, and you'll notice that it spans pretty much the entire upper. The only parts that aren't kangaroo leather is this little section here at the back of the heel that you can see runs along the sides of the heel counter as well. But the entire midfoot, forefoot, and toe box area on both sides is made out of this very thin, super soft, very pliable kangaroo leather material that softens up significantly as you wear the boots in. Now it does have that internal support cage in place of stitching, which means that there is some added structure to the toe box area, just enough basically to where it's not going to overstretch on you. I will not say that this is the most responsive pair of football boots in the world, despite having a very speed boot-esque silhouette, but I don't think most people that are after this type of boot are necessarily interested in that super locked in feel. For what it lacks in lockdown, it makes up for in comfort and just purity of touch. No matter where you make contact with your foot on the ball, the thin kangaroo leather just feels incredible. You will notice also on the medial side, they have stitched in this little strip of leather right here, kind of breaking up what would otherwise be a single piece. And that is there again as a reinforcement element, basically right on the midfoot area on the medial side of the foot where it's going to be under a lot of stress. So that is again to prevent the boot from overstretching and just feeling too sloppy on your feet. I also think that the form stripe, which is embroidered here in white, is doing something in regards to reinforcing the upper as well. And I guess I should also mention that it does have a synthetic suede liner on the inside to reinforce everything internally. Either way, it feels really, really good. And I know a lot of people are big fans of the TechCraft series from Nike, and Nike has had some great TechCraft Mercurials over the years. But if I'm being completely honest, I think that this is better than any of the TechCraft Mercurials Nike has ever made. And that really sums up the vibe of the King Platinum. I think a lot of people view leather boots as an old school kind of bulkier style of football boot, but basically what you're getting with the King Platinum is that old school soft leather comfort and touch, but in a silhouette and a platform that feels very much like a pair of high-end modern speed boots, which is a very good thing. Through the middle, like I did mention, you do have that Evo knit material, which is nice and stretchy. There's really nothing too fancy about it. The dual lace hole system as well, which I think does add overall some really good lockdown and responsiveness to the upper versus if they just went for a regular tongue and a regular lacing system. So I actually like that aspect of the boot. Obviously it does have a low cut construction, which I think this particular boot should have. It extends a little bit at the back and has this little bit of a square back piece to it, which is something that is supposed to relate back to older Puma King models. Personally, I wish it was a little bit more rounded. I just don't like having this extra piece here against the side of the Achilles. That can cause a little bit of discomfort during the first couple of wears, but that's going to vary from person to person. Internally, you do have an internal synthetic leather liner, plenty of padding. It would have been nice to have that as a suede material, but they have not done that. I'm assuming to keep the cost of the shoe as low as possible. And then internally, the insole is fully removable. You can see it is basically just a nice suede, not suede, sorry, more of like a textured mesh type material, and then it's made out of a single layer of this white foam. And then as a base, you're gonna find the same Rapid Sprint outsole and FGAG stud pattern that comes directly from the Puma 1 line, including the external heel counter. This gives the boot a very speed boot-esque lightweight platform, being that the Puma 1 is more or less the speed boot offering from the Puma brand. Really nice sole plate, works well with the upper, and that it has nice flexibility to it, but at the same time doesn't feel flimsy. I think a lot of people want to compare this to something like the Nike Premier. This has much more of a speed boot vibe versus the Premier, which does have admittedly kind of a flimsy sole plate in comparison to this. And then as far as the FGAG stud pattern is concerned, it is definitely more FG than it is AG, although you can get away with using this on artificial grass. What I will say is that the studs are fairly long for what is something that is categorized as an AG stud pattern. So on artificial grass, if it's not the deepest AG surface, you might run into some issues with kind of instability and possible stud pressure because of the length of the studs. But on natural grass, the traction is very, very aggressive. And again, it gives you that speed boot vibe with an upper that isn't necessarily something that is associated with the speed boot category. Now, I've talked a lot about the King Platinum feeling like a speed boot, but part of what makes a speed boot is it being nice and lightweight, which the King Platinum is. In a size 9.5 US, you can see that the boots weigh in at about 7.45 ounces, the equivalent of 211 grams, which is basically the same weight range that pretty much 90% of top-end models, speed boot or not, fall into, meaning that this is just as lightweight as some of the most popular speed boots on the market. I think a great example would be the X19.1. Technically, the Vapor 13 Elite is a little bit lighter, but in terms of the feel on feet, if you're looking for that lightweight speed boot vibe, you're getting it from the King Platinum. So as I normally do, I have swapped out the stock blue laces, which admittedly look fine, for some white reflective SR4U replacement laces, which accent perfectly with the white outline to the form stripe and of course the white sole plate, and make them just a little bit more unique versus everyone else with the same pair. SR4U laces are a great way of changing up the style of your boots, so if you're looking to do so, head over to sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description, so if you're interested in some for yourself, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, the Puma King Platinums feel great, and to be fair, there really isn't any reason why they shouldn't feel great, because what they've done here is very simple. It's a thin kangaroo leather upper that has great softness and great flexibility to it. Of course, as you break them in, they're only going to soften up that much more and form to the shape of your feet. What's different about the King Platinum versus a lot of other football boots in this category is the very modern and sleek, almost speed boot-esque fit and silhouette that this boot has, which means that it has that very tight wrap around your feet, but because the upper is leather and doesn't necessarily have the structural integrity of a thin synthetic or perhaps a reinforced knitted material, it's not going to have that suffocating squeeze your foot sensation that more hardcore speed boots might have, which is not as great when it comes to overall responsiveness, but better when it comes to overall comfort. So it really is a personal preference thing. I think if you like that tight modern fit, but you also don't want to sacrifice comfort, the King Platinum is something that you're really going to like the fit and feel of. As far as width is concerned, while it does have a snug fit, they definitely have some decent width to them. I would say the midfoot is going to be the tightest part of this boot, but in general, after a little bit of break-in time, I don't see these having really many issues as far as fitting most people is concerned. So as long as you don't have excessively wide feet, I think you should be okay. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order some for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. In my opinion, the Puma King Platinum is legitimately one of the most underrated football boots on the market right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with a lack of dedication on Puma's part in terms of marketing for this product. It has literally only had 2 colorway releases in the span of almost an entire year, which is pretty unheard of for a modern pair of football boots. I think a lot of people look at this and view it as a more expensive variation of the Nike Premier 2, which is a great pair of football boots for 130 bucks. But if you're looking for something that is the same in terms of giving you that kangaroo leather experience, but also doesn't lack a lot of the modern innovation and certainly some speed boot elements that the Nike Premier simply does not have on offer, I really feel like this is one of the best options, especially for the price, if you're after something with a leather upper that has more of a modern feel to it. This is not bulky by any means. I wouldn't compare this to a regular kind of old school Puma King model at all. It really is kind of like a leather Mercurial, but without a Nike swoosh, it has a Puma form stripe, and it costs a lot less money. Also, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I think this is aesthetically one of the best looking football boots you can buy. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you don't miss out on the next new video. All my social media information is also linked down below. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.